AVV Nation, all of YouTube, what's going on? My name is Patrick France, Senior Instructor here at VectorVest. Hopefully you guys are having a good Monday, and if you're not, well, I'm here to make it better. Today we're going to be taking a look at one of the industries that has been relatively dormant over the course of the last year, and maybe getting ready to heat up based off of the comments that we had from the US President earlier today. So, if you're ready to see the power of the VectorVest rank analysis, identify the best stock depending on your own personal style investments, also see what those comments were, make sure to stick around. And as always, before we jump into it here today, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, smash that like button because that helps us out with the YouTube algorithms and doesn't cost you a thing. And with that, let's get right into it. All right, welcome back everybody. So today we're going to be taking a look at clean energy that has been soaring all day today. The reason is because we had some positive comments coming out from the US President Joe Biden, and let's take a look at exactly what was said. So I found an article from Barron's. We'll scroll down, come down a little bit here, and one of the big announcements was that we're not going to be imposing any new tariffs on solar imports for the next 2 years. So as we can see at the time of this article, Solar Edge or SEDG was up 4.3%, Sun Power jumped 6.7%, Run was up 11.8%, and Enphase gained 8.8% so far today. So as we scroll down, one of the other important things here to take a look at or know when we look at these stocks is that he also authorized the use of the Defense Production Act to help U.S. manufacturers of solar panels, and the White House said the U.S. was now on track to triple domestic solar manufacturing capacity by 2024. So we all know the Build Back Better plan, and this is, part of that of clean energy aspect of it. So the fact that we're seeing this, everybody was looking at clean energy when he took presidency to start taking off, cooled off pretty quickly after the presidency, changeover occurred. But now we may be starting to see that run that we've all been waiting for since his presidency started. So with that, let's go ahead, dive right into those stocks here today and use the power of VectorVest rank analysis to find the one with the best long-term potential, the safest one, and the hottest mover at this time. So with that, let's jump right into the software here. All right, so now that we're in the software, as always, we're looking at the stocks in the clean energy industry here. And whenever you look at any sort of listing in VectorVest, as always, it'll automatically bring the best candidates to the top and the worst candidates to the bottom using the power of our master indicator VST, standing for value, safety, and timing. Now I've covered what these indicators are and I've covered what we see here typically, but let's just go over that briefly and then we'll dive into our rank analysis and see how easy it can be to use VectorVest to find the best stocks to meet your own investment style. So as always, just working our way from left to right, we get the company's name, the symbol, the exchange, the price, the dollar change, percent price change, basically all the stuff you can find pretty much anywhere. But then we dive into the VectorVest analysis, starting off with the value. Now the value is what we currently feel the stock is worth. And the way we use the value is we compare the price of the stock to its value. So if the price is above its value or over its value, we'd consider that stock to be overvalued, meaning you're paying a premium for that stock at this time. Now, if the price is under its value, kind of like we see with DQ, that would indicate that this stock is undervalued or that you're getting a bargain when you're buying this stock at this time. And as always, VectorVest mantra is to buy safe, undervalued stocks that are rising in price in a rising market. So therefore, we do highly recommend looking at undervalued candidates here. So after the value, the next four indicators, as always, are going to be cast on a scale of 0 to 2. And all you have to remember is above 1 is good and below 1 is bad. So the first one we look at is RV or relative value, and this is where we're going to start our rank analysis here today. So the RV is looking at the long-term potential of the stock over the next 1 to 3 years when compared to a AAA corporate rated bond. So in other words, if the RV is greater than 1, we'd expect to see it outperform a AAA corporate rated bond or a relatively safe investment over the next 1 to 3 years. Then we get to the RS or relative safety, which is looking at the amount of risk involved in the stock compared to the average stock out there. So if it's above 1, that would indicate less risk associated with it. Below 1, more risk associated with it. Then we look at the RT or relative timing, which is looking at the short-term price trend of the stock. Basically a momentum indicator. So above 1, short-term trend is up. Below 1, short-term trend is down. And then the combination of these three, the RV, the RS, or the RT or relative timing, get comprised to come up with a VST standing for value, safety, and timing. It's a great overall indicator because it's looking at the stock on both a fundamental and a technical basis, all summarized into one, something you're not going to find anywhere else out there. And as always, if you want to see the full list, because as you probably noticed, we're only looking at the top 20 currently out of 75 stocks. And if you want to look at the full list here, make sure to click on the link down in the description below and sign up for the 99-cent trial and put the power of VectorVest on your side. So let's jump into the rank analysis now. So if you're looking for more of that aggressive style of stock, looking for the one that has the best long-term potential and not really considering the amount of risk, you're just looking for, trying to hit that home run, then look no further than the RV or relative value. So all we have to do is simply click on the RV column header and it'll automatically bring the highest RV stocks right to the top of the list for us. So DQ doesn't really change very much from what we were looking at earlier, comes up as our number one candidate here. So if you want to take a look at the graph, all you can do is just simply right click and view the stock graph here at the bottom. And taking a quick look at our graph, before we do that though, let's go over what we see. We have the rating or recommendation bar at the top, which shows when it changes from buy to hold to sell. We see the price shown in candlesticks with a 3 and the 8 exponential moving average around that price. Then below that, the MACD, and then DPO right below there, and then volume at the very bottom. And so what we're looking for is over the course of the last 3 months, we want to see a nice trend starting to form, and that's what we're seeing. We had some sideways price action for quite a while, but then all of a sudden, the 3 and the 8 really turned positive and started separating back around the middle of May. And since that point, we've noticed the DPO also turning into positive territory, as well as the MACD, all pointing upwards, showing short-term momentum building to the upside. And it looks like this is starting to gain some traction here as well. Now, whenever you look at any of these stocks, if you do want to take advantage of them, as always, we do recommend using a buy stop limit order to ensure that the stock is moving higher upon purchase. So basically, when you're looking at the stock, we look at the high, which is currently sitting at 63.94 here today, and you would put your order a little bit above that so it only gets filled if the stock is continuing to move higher. That way, you don't buy at the top and have the stock drop right down and then end up losing money. You wait for the stock to come to you and not trying to chase the stock on your own. So DQ, we like what we're seeing with this one. If we add on earnings per share or EPS and then take off some of the other stuff so it makes it easier to see out there for you guys. There we go. We'll take off DPO. And whenever looking at earnings per share, we highly recommend looking over a 1 year time frame to give you a better picture because earnings is more of that longer term indicator to begin with. So when zooming out to a 1 year time frame, we like what we see with this. Price has been steadily moving lower up until recently. We talked about that a little bit ago. Clean energy cooled off because we didn't really see the Build Back Better plan really take any positive moves forward to really start getting enacted. So clean energy took a little bit of a hit there. But with the new comments, we could start seeing a new run here in the near future, if not what we're seeing already being the start of this big run. But when we look at earnings, what we're looking for is a nice steady rise from bottom left to upper right, kind of like a stair-step pattern. And that's exactly what we see, because that shows us not only are they making money, but they're expected to continue to make money at least 12 months down the road. And that's what you want to see with stocks that you own. You want to see that they have that ability to continue to make money going forward as well. Because as the old saying goes where money grows. So DQ, breaking out of this sideways channel and starting to run, could potentially see some resistance. I'll use my cursor here. Could see some potential resistance coming in around 73. Then we have potential resistance at 80. And if we get past 80, we could see even bigger runs coming in. So DQ, definitely one to add on your radar. If we go back, looking for the safest stock, it's as simple as clicking on RS. And there we go. So out of the list, DQ comes up as the safest stock out of all the clean energy stocks. Out of all 75 clean energy stocks so far, DQ has the best long-term potential. It also has less risk compared to the average stock out there and the least amount of risk compared to its industry. So that is definitely a positive sign. Now, if we take a look at the second place candidate, we have Vestis Wins VWSYF. It is a pink sheet, so be careful of that. Make sure, as always, to check the volume. If we scroll over real quick, we can do that. Volume is extremely light, so I'd probably pass over this one. But then we get SEDG, which we saw in the article earlier, and this comes in as the third safest stock in the industry. Now, be careful though, because the RS is just barely above 1. So make sure to take that into account if you do decide to enter this one. If we right click on it and view the stock graph, taking a look over the course of the last year, it has had some pretty big swings higher and lower, but now we could potentially be seeing a double bottom being formed. Once again, I'll turn on my cursor, and you can see that double bottom right around 210 a share roughly. Now this one, coming off of that double bottom, we do want to see it get back to that level of resistance set around 335, so still a little bit more upside than where we're currently at. But then looking at the MACD turned positive on a short-term perspective right after that double bottom occurred. And now from a longer term perspective, the MACD line and the signal line are both starting to cross above 0, giving us a good long-term potential entry here with SEDG. And then as always, taking a look at earnings per share, because as we always say, earnings is the engine that drives stock prices higher over time. And looking at earnings, a nice steady rise from bottom left to upper right, just like a stair-step pattern, exactly what you want to see. So if we get out of here, next one we'll take a look at is the hottest moving one currently. And as always, all we got to do is take a look at RT. So I'll just simply click on the RT column header there, let it refresh, and it'll bring up the hottest moving stock out of all 75 in the clean energy industry. So as we can see, JKS coming in as number 1 with an RT rating of 1.73. Let's go ahead, take a look at the graph here. Just pull that up, there we go. So JKS, big swings, pretty much a sideways move over the course of the last year with a pretty big range between let's go ahead, put on our cursor, right here where this closed out yesterday, right around $60, $62. And then lower end, closer to that, $40. So about a $20 range over the course of the last year. Now we broke out to the upside here today, but right now we're forming a doji, telling us we see some indecision with this stock at this current level. So once again, if you're going to be entering into some of these, especially if you see price action or candle patterns showing like this, make sure as always use a buy stop limit order to make sure the stock's still moving higher when you get into it, and instead of buying it and then watching it just start dropping right out of the gate. One thing that is a little bit alarming with this one, this is a momentum play. So this one's not going to have the best fundamentals like we've seen with some of the others. So looking at earnings has been declining here over the course of the last year, which is definitely not a great sign. You don't want to see that if you're a long-term investor, but if you're a momentum trader, take advantage of the momentum while it lasts. One of the positive things I will say, I'll leave off with this though, when looking at JKS, if we zoom in since the beginning of the year, roughly just chose the beginning of February, earnings has been starting to pick up a little bit. So that does leave some positive signs going forward, but it has a lot of ground to climb back to get back to where it was even a year ago. So make sure to keep an eye on that as you move forward with this one. So with that, that's going to be the 3 different stocks we're going to be taking a look at here today. As always, if you want to use the power of this rank analysis to help improve your own trading and help reduce the time it takes to manage your portfolio, click on the link down in the description below and sign up for the trial here today. So let me know your favorite clean energy stocks or which ones you're watching as well in the comments. And until next time, it's been my pleasure being with you. Take care, adios, and toodles.
Yeah.